Thank everyone for joining today's webinar. And today's webinar is going to be automated sheet creation and view placement using a tool from CTC called Sheet Assistant. Today's webinar will also be recorded, so you could always go back and look at the webinar on our SolidCAD webpage. So just to introduce myself, my name is Patrick Simic from SolidCAD. I am a technical consultant on the AEC team. And today I will be showing you a tool that CTC has created for us to use inside of Revit to help automate sheet creation and also placing views consistently throughout the different types of sheets. So today's learning objectives is going to be how to access the Sheet Assistant tool, use the Sheet Assistant to bring consistency to sheets previously created manually, identify a source sheet or a previously saved configuration, and also how can we create layout configurations for future use. So with that said, we're actually going to go into a live demo and go through the sheet creation tool to see how it works. So as I open up my screen here, we do have a small project with already different types of views that we have in place. Let me just open up one of my floor plans. So as you are working inside of your projects, what we want to do is we want to create multiple sheets, different types, but the main kind of issue is making sure that the consistency of the view placement, so all of our floor plans are perfectly aligned, or if we have notes on that sheet, that everything is in the proper position. So technically what we'd be doing here originally without using the tool is we'd be going into our sheets and creating a new sheet. So I'm just going to create one myself here, bring one of my general floor plans in place. I'll even give this a name. I could change my sheet name to A101. Be my ground floor plan. So we have that in place. And I'll throw in some general notes. So as I create my first sheet in place, what I'm going to want to do is now as I start creating the other sheets, my other second and third floor plans, my other enlarged floor plans, my finished plans, life and safety, and so on, since they are going to have the same floor plan with the same scale, I want to make sure that they're all exactly in the right position. In Revit, to kind of keep that consistency without using any kind of tool is if I were to bring in one of, say now my second floor plan view and my general notes. So to keep the consistency both of the sheets, so if I tile them together, different types of ways. You could use your reference planes, you could use your guide grid, but that's kind of time consuming and you may kind of not have the correct consistency from sheet to sheet. CTC does have a tool, View Aligner, but it's kind of a single kind of item based tool there. But what if I want to kind of do that to multiple sheets at once? So in this example, what I'm going to do is as I close out of that second sheet, I'm going to have the first view created or first sheet created with my two views, my ground floor plan and my general notes. The tool Sheet Assistant, where it can be found is going to be when you download the tools, you're going to have your CTC software tab. And in this case, we're going to be looking at the BIM project suite. So again, the green icons that we have with the different tools. Many different tools that will help you kind of help set up a project to get even your consistency of views that you like. View Creator is a great tool to kind of help you speed up that process. But today we're going to be looking at consistency of placing views on sheets and making sure that they are all aligned. So with the tool that I have in place, if I want to create additional sheets. So yes, we could create a schedule. We could right click and create new sheets, but I'm going to use another tool from the BIM project suite, which is called Spreadsheet Link, to kind of help automate the process of placing and creating multiple sheet types with a consistent naming convention. So in my case here, I'm just going to create a schedule. Again, in the back, you can see kind of like a little Excel format. I'm going to do the sheet number, sheet name. I'm going to go back into my spreadsheet links. So yes, you could create different formats to help you automate view types and view naming conventions and sheet naming conventions. Also, what we could do here is as I create new sheets from this layout, so I have 14 total, create those views here. We could then go back into, say, already a Excel file with our, say, typical sheet name. So I have a few over here. I'm just going to copy and paste that information directly into my tool. So since I already have that consistent naming convention, as I just copy and paste them over from Excel into the Spreadsheet Link tool, I can then apply and create these sheets. Give it a few seconds, it runs. We can see 14 new sheets have been created, 2 existing ones have not been modified. And as I close out of this tool, quickly using my Spreadsheet Link tool with an Excel file with preset sheet set, here I already have now my sheets already organized for me. So moving forward, what I want to do here now is when I have my A102, my A103, I want to keep that same consistency of my sheets. So typically what may happen is maybe on A102, as users are placing on their views, I could come into here, drag my view, grab my general notes, let it be, looks pretty similar to what I had on the last sheet. But then maybe another user comes in and they change up the format. They put up the floor plan over here. They put the general notes somewhere down at the bottom. So as we start to see, and I kind of work through the 3 different sheets here, they are not organized as I kind of want them to be consistent with my A101 sheet. We could populate all the other ones too. I just go to A201. I could put on one of my enlarged plans. Maybe I'll put it here. Also do the general notes somewhere in there. And I'll kind of keep working through the next few. And maybe general notes here. Again, just making sure we'll make the tool properly work. So my end goal or my source sheet is going to be my A101 sheet, and I want all the other sheets to kind of follow the sequence or the placement of my views. This is where my Sheet Assistant tool comes into effect. So with the Sheet Assistant tool, I'm going to click Sheet Assistant at the top, again in the BIM project suite, and then it opens up a dialog box. So we do have kind of a couple different tiers in place that we have. Starting on the left side, you can create and save specific sheet layouts. So as you're working from project to project, you could have those specific settings and use that format that you've saved out in different projects. So you do have the option to kind of save and load them back into your project. Since I don't have any configurations now, I'm actually going to start by creating my own. So I'm just going to click my sheet. So on the left side here still, we're selecting what is our source sheet. Source sheet I had was A101, my ground floor plan. As I select it, you'll start to see now underneath kind of the views that have been placed onto the sheet. If I click the other, say, sheets I had in place, you'll start to see they kind of modified based on what views are there. As I hover over to one of the views, it'll highlight it, it'll tell you what kind of view it is, it'll give you the scale. If I go to my general notes, it will do the same thing, that it is a legend. So I want to keep this consistency for all the other sheets. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this sheet that I have, my floor plan. I want to make sure that it's going to be always kind of to the bottom left of my sheet. So I'm just going to give it some positioning functions. And again, it's always going to be aligned to that specific spacing. Anything kind of on the top and right, the view say will grow out there, but it'll keep now the left and the bottom aligned to that location. And also my legend. This time, this one's going to be on the right and the top. So this is the placement of the sheet that I have in the background right now I want to kind of work with. One thing that's nice about the tools here too is you can still use Revit in the background even though the tool is open in the top. I'm just going to open actually the 3 other views that I have. That'd be even 4. And I could tile them all in the back so we could see the differences of the layouts. The bottom right quadrant is the kind of layout that I want, and all the other, in this case, 3 open sheets that I want them to follow suit. So once I have my target sheet selected and updated to the positioning of the views, which views or which sheets do I want this to be applied to? Well, I want my second floor plan to be applied, my third, ground floor, and large plans. So as I select these sheets now, the target sheets, to the right, we're then going to have which views are on that sheet. We don't always have to align every single view that's on a sheet. Some views may have an additional note or a different additional, say, detail to it. So we're selecting now which views do we want to align based off of our configuration on the left. Since all of them have the same outline, they have a floor plan and a general notes element, I'm just going to use my select tool at the top. Again, you could individually turn on and off what you want to align based off of your configuration. So if I kind of move this to the left a little, we'll see now as I click apply, the sheets that we have exposed here, they'll start to change the location of all of their views. Select apply, and in a matter of seconds, all of my views now, even the ones that I do not have open, have now that same configuration based off of my original source sheet. So a great way to kind of use Sheet Assistant to quickly align all of our views that are placed onto a sheet and keep that consistency sheet to sheet. So that's kind of one tool or one function that we could use with the Sheet Assistant, is quickly aligning existing sheets with views already on them and making sure everything is all the same. Another tool that we're going to use with Sheet Assistant, I'm just going to go back to my original view. Going to close the ones in the background. In my sheets, I do not have any, say, reflected ceiling plans. So using the Sheet Assistant tool again, I can actually create new sheets also. So we're going to manually be creating these sheets using the Sheet Assistant tool. And to do so again, back into the Sheet Assistant tool, I'm going to go where we have in the center, not target sheets, but I'm going to click New Sheet. On the right side, we're then going to have the new sheet option. I'm going to click into there. Now we could select what title block do we want. As you are creating new sheets, you could always add additional fields. So you could add information to that sheet. So again, this one, just the sheet number, sheet name. If you want drawn by, checked by, maybe some kind of sorting order, you could always add that parameter into this location. So you could automatically fill it out from this location too. I'm just going to be using the sheet number and sheet name. So if I come into here, I'm going to go say A301. We're going to do here A302, A303. And I'm going to give these a sheet name, ground, floor, RCP. Let's just copy this. This would be my second floor RCP. And this one would be my third floor RCP. So I'm creating just 3 sheets typically, as you would just inside of Revit. I could kind of help populate these in a, say, schedule format. Selecting my title block, gonna click create. Now with those sheets created, we can also see in the project browser, I now have those 3 RCP views, RCP sheets placed within my view. In my project browser, I also have existing reflected ceiling plan views along with a general notes. So what if I want to keep that configuration of that original A101 floor plan that I have in the background here? I'm going to again have the RCP view and my RCP general notes being placed to these new sheets. So first thing I'm going to kind of work through is first, what's my target sheet? So back on the left side of the sheet, going to give it my positioning for those sheets, my notes, right and top. Now, what am I doing? So I have those 3 sheets selected, RCP plan views. And on the right side, as we see here, with those sheets created, they do not have any views on them. With this tool, what we could do is we could expand the sheet and we could start to see now, since the original source sheet has 2 views, as I select a sheet with no views on it, it's actually showing me what views can be placed in that correct position. So view 1, which is that overall floor plan view, as I expand, we can now select what view do I want to be placed directly onto that sheet. So we could skip to not place any kind of floor plan on that sheet. I could always duplicate an existing view and have it duplicate with a detailing, give it a view template and even a naming suffix. So again, you could quickly create new views directly from this tool also. I already have existing views, so I'm going to use my existing unplaced views. And from here, I'm just selecting which view that I want. So A301 is going to be my ground floor RCP views. As I go to the legends, same thing. Where I have the number 2 option from the source sheet, it is being picked up on the sheet that has no views on it. What view do I want to place? From here, I don't want to keep the original, which would be the original general notes. I actually want to place in my new notes, which I have my general notes for RCP. And I'm going to continue to do this for the other views. Selecting the RCP, selecting the RCP general notes. And then finally, the last sheet, we could expand here. And the final one, going to expand from there. So general notes, RCP. So with the tool, what we've just done here is I've created new sheets based off of a naming convention that I input manually, and then I selected a title block, created those sheets for me in my project. With those sheets created, I selected a source sheet. So I used my original A101 sheet, which had a floor plan and a notes legend within the sheet itself. So that's kind of the format that I want to keep consistent within my RCP views. As I select the source sheet, now I selected, based off of those sheets, what views do I want to be placed in those positions. So I've selected my RCP plan views, and I also selected my general notes RCP. So with those, with that data already now inputted, I'm going to click apply. And in a few seconds, this tool will then kind of run through, automatically now place those 3 RCP plan views on each sheet, along with the general notes. So if I close out of here, and I go now to my RCP views, we can start to see, if I tile the views, we have the exact same floor plan placement along with the exact same legend placement. So we could quickly adapt and modify multiple views using the Sheet Assistant tool to position the views as we want them to be throughout our project. If something changes, well, maybe we want to kind of rearrange how our sheets are being placed. To update sheets throughout your whole project, again, we can quickly do this using the Sheet Assistant tool. If I go back, maybe I'm going to say A301, where I do not want my legend view to be here at the top. Maybe I want it to be a little bit lower, or my floor plan view to be a little bit higher, and my notes, say, to be a little bit lower. With this new configuration, if I want to push that new, say, format to all my other sheets, use the Sheet Assistant tool. Going to jump back into Sheet Assistant. Don't have a configuration, not loading one, so I'm just going to go back to a target sheet. I can select any sheet that I want. So I'm going to go to my A301 RCP. As we can see now, we have a new format. Going to select the sheet, and then this time it's going to be left and top. Bottom one, I always want it to be the right and bottom, which are my target sheets. So I know it's going to be all of my ground floor plans. Not going to add my RCP because that's the one I'm creating it from, but then the other 3 that I have in place. Once those are selected, which view do I want to rearrange itself based off of my source sheet? I'm going to say all of them in place. Click apply. And as the Sheet Assistant tool runs through, if I were just to close this, we can now see the new positionings of those views for every single sheet that I have then modified and created. So with the Sheet Assistant tool, quickly you could modify the view placements on your sheets, keep the consistency throughout multiple sheets and their views. You could also create new sheets as needed for your layouts. And with that, you could also save. So you do have a saving option to have for your configurations that can be then utilized internally on the current project or on any other projects moving forward. So we start to have those options here. And as you can see, you could always save out your function. And then configuration, you could load it back in. You can make different configurations for floor plan layouts. You can make them for section layouts, elevations, detail layouts. So many different configurations that can be quickly automated and preset and loaded in. Then you select what views or what sheets you want that configuration to be aligned to and make those modifications as needed. Let it be, it'll reorganize the views that are already onto that sheet to the correct location. Or if you're creating sheets that do not have any views, you could tell what views to be placed onto that sheet. So with that, In conclusion, using the Sheet Assistant tool from CTC allows you to save time on creating large quantities of sheets and layouts. You can utilize different types of tools also in the BIM project suite using CTC to help you align with the sheet creation. Using Sheet Assistant allows you to create repeatable and fast sheet production. So when you're starting a project, keep the same consistency of the same configuration and also updating and modifying the sheets. You can update multiple existing sheets with consistent view placement. So as we saw that, we could keep that consistency to multiple views if things do change, and also standardize typical sheet types across multiple projects. Save your configurations, use them throughout the different projects that you are working on, and you'll have that consistency and standardization as you work through. How to obtain the tools. So to obtain the tools, you can go directly to ctcsoftware.com, and underneath products, you will see the different types of products available. Today's Sheet Assistant tool that I have demoed is in the BIM Project Suite. So if you download the BIM Project Suite, you will have the Sheet Assistant tool. If you need any more information about that, feel free to contact me or directly to the CTC software website. There are also free tools in the BIM Project Suite that you can keep renumbering or view aligner. So those are there for you to use. So in conclusion, my name is Patrick Simic from SolidCAD. I am the technical consultant for the AEC team. My email is patrick.simic@solidcad.ca. So if you'd like any more information about the tools or how to get them, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help you along with that. With that, any kind of questions? We're going to have a Q&A here for anyone that may have a question in regards to the tool itself or how to obtain it. So you may use the chat if you like, or the Q&A for any types of questions that you may have. So I'll keep that open for a bit. And as mentioned, this is a recorded webinar, so it will be available later on the SolidCAD YouTube website for anyone to view. I'll just give back. Just going to go back here. So if you'd like to contact me directly, you will have the information there. So it doesn't look like there are any other questions here for today's webinar. So once again, sorry, got a question here. Yeah, so the question here is, does the sheet planner organize based on order that the sheets were placed on? So it will notice the type of view that it is. So if you did, say my first sheet, I did place the floor plan, and then the legend second, it kind of went 1 and 2. But for the next sheet, if you had a, say the opposite way, it will identify actually which plan view. So it'll keep that consistency originally from the first, say, format that you had, then the second one. So we'll know a floor plan to a floor plan, a legend to a legend. So that's how it will know which views to keep aligned with each other. No problem. Yeah, so it looks like we have no other kind of questions here for today's webinar. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining today's webinar. As mentioned, it is a recorded session. It will be available later on the SolidCAD website. My name is Patrick Simic, technical consultant at SolidCAD on the AEC team. Feel free to reach out to me with any kind of questions you may have about Sheet Assistant or any other tools, even that CTC does provide within the Revit environment. So once again, thank you very much, everyone, and hope everyone has a great day.